This is Jerome Corsi. Today it's Monday. It's October 14th, 2024. Thank you for joining us on thetruthcentral.com. We're doing podcasts every weekday. You can follow me on X at CorsiJerome1 and on Substack, JeromeCorsiPhD.substack.com. Our website is thetruthcentral.com. Check us also on God's Five Stones. That's GODS, no apostrophe, FIVESTONES.com. We're reporting there on the algorithms that we are finding in the State Board of Election voter registration databases. These algorithms allow, I believe, a scheme for creating false voters who are fictitious, and then voting them in a fraudulent mail-in ballot scheme. And we'll be announcing today that we have found the algorithms now also in Pennsylvania. There should be a report later this morning, if it's not up already, that we have found them as well in Wisconsin. These are two battleground states. That's why these are both important. And I think it's going to become increasingly imperative that people understand that this is major news, because these are encrypted schemes placed into the databases, the official databases that are going to be used for voting, and they allow for cheating. Now, again, this should never be happening, and that's obvious. But there's the amount of cheating the Democrats have done is phenomenal when you take a look at their really careless disregard for the rules. They want to win. They don't really care how they win. They just want to win. And so therefore, when you see this kind of news, this reaction that you have basically a algorithms in the database and nobody does anything about it. Well, we're going to do a lot about it, because we're going to be publishing more this week extensively about these algorithms. And I think these are going to be major reasons why Kamala loses, because the Democrats are going to be blocked from using as much mail-in ballot fraud as they would like to do. So therefore, I think we're going to find, as we get into this, that the closer to the election, that the algorithms are going to become a much more important story, and one that is going to, I think, be determinative ultimately of the fact that we need to do fundamental revision of our voting system, which has gotten to be so completely much of a mess that the more I look at it, the more I'm convinced that it's designed for cheating. And the Democrats have intentionally corrupted so many of our different institutions. The Democratic Party has become not just a communist party, but it's become treasonous. It wants to destroy the United States of America. There's no adherence to law or constitutions. And every one of the reports that we're publishing here, that's a report on Wisconsin. You'll see here, Chris is showing on the screen on godsfivestones.com. You're going to see that we're having more and more of the election fraud exposed before the fact, because we're saying that these algorithms are inherently suspect and most likely illegal. They shouldn't be in these databases. So therefore, as we look at this and examine it in more detail, I think you're going to find that we have here a fundamental problem with our election system, and one that's not easily going to be resolved or go away. Okay, let's switch to a couple stories on the election. We have a couple of clips today to play. Chris, you want to describe these clips, and then let's watch them.
Well, let's have a little fun with some of these, because, as you know, over the last couple of weeks, the new strategy by the left has been to criticize, or let's just say, challenge one's masculinity if they don't vote for the female candidate. Kamala Harris, to those of you who aren't sure what it is. No, just kidding out there. But the fact is, you saw the Sam Elliott commercial some weeks ago. They were playing
Yes.
that during a football weekend. The man, I'm going to be a man and vote for a woman. Well, these Hollywood types decided to put another one of these similar videos together. And it's, as the kids say, it was rather cringy. Let's take a look at this one. It's, of course, as you note, it's designed for TikTok and those phone ads or whatever. So that should tell you a little bit about this and who created it. Let's watch this.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
I'm a man, man.
And I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Neat.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
Man enough to deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast. I ain't afraid of bears.
That's what bear hugs are for.
I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women.
I'm not afraid of women.
I'm not afraid of women.
They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
They want to use IVF to start a family? I'm not afraid of families.
They want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Because I'm man enough to support women.
Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like.
Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
Man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women.
Or one of those pants books that the sisters like.
I'm man enough to raw dog a flight. It sucked. Not worth it.
I'm man enough to be emotional in front of my wife.
In front of my kids.
In front of my horse.
I'm man enough to tell you that I cry at Love Actually.
Good Will Hunting.
West Side Story.
That and Predator.
And I'm sick of so-called men domineering, belittling, and controlling women just so they can feel more powerful.
That's not how my mama raised me.
I love women.
I love women who support their families.
Women who decide not to have families.
Women who take charge.
And I'm man enough to help them win.
And there you have it.
That's pretty pathetic.
You're not a man if you don't vote for Kamala, and you're man enough to cry during Love Actually. The only reason anybody cried during Love Actually is if they paid full price to see that movie.
Oh boy, I tell you, if this is all they got, and I'm afraid it is all they've got. They don't have a thing. They're dead. They're dead in the water.
It's desperation. That's what it is.
Afraid of women.
Well, let's see how great a hunter Mr. Waltz is.
Well, that's another desperate attempt to show how manly it is to vote for a woman. Apparently, Ted Walls took a bunch of fellow soy boys out, including that. You ever hear this kid Harry Cision?
No.
21-year-old or whatever kid that's some kind of Democrat operative or whatever. He does little TikTok and YouTube Shorts videos, just like some kid in denial, telling you how great the Democrats and Harry and what's her name, Kamala Harris are, and how horrible and mean the Orange Man is. It's just more annoying because it's a downright denial. Well, anyway, let's go back to real life here. So Ted Walls brings these some other soy boys on a hunting trip with him, and he shows the world how much of a man he is with his lack of ability to hold a shotgun.
That's my theory. It never fits quite right.
Never fits quite right. It's not quite right. How do you give it back?
Governor, what kind of gun is it?
This is a Beretta A400. I bought it when I was shooting a lot of trap because it has a kind of their patented thing, a kickoff. So when you get old, it doesn't hurt your shoulder as much.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess
You know how to load it.
It's embarrassing. The guy's trying to show you how much of a man he is and how much how manly and masculine he is. He doesn't even know how to hold a shotgun. This, my friend, is why we had the NRA.
He looks a little bit like Elmer Fudd there in that whole
episode. He's always looked like Elmer Fudd.
Yeah.
It was an embarrassment. Yeah, I was waiting until he turned around saying, "I'm hunting rabbits." There we go. Yeah, what an embarrassment. And so basically, it's like they're telling you like you're a first grader in a playground. If you don't vote for Kamala Harris, you're chicken or not a man. And then this one showing you how much of a man he is by not even and showing you how horrible or how great gun rights are by the inability to hold and load a shotgun. This is something you learn when you're 14, 15, 16, and you first go hunting with your dad, or you learn it from NRA back courses, safety courses.
I can't believe that their Democrats are also wanting to portray that they're now for guns.
Yeah, okay.
The hypocrisy of these people is just astounding. They'll lie to you in a second for no reason whatsoever. Just lie to you.
It's almost an embarrassment at this point for them. They don't even go out as themselves saying, "Look, here they can actually get more votes by saying, all right, yes, we know inflation's up. Yes, we know that it's harder to spend money and the dollar is going down. Yes, we know we let a lot of illegal immigrants in, but that's because we want a new world order, and you voted for us for that." They get more votes by doing that than all this desperation.
Might as well, but they can't tell the truth.
Right.
You see, that's they can't tell the truth. That's the problem with the Democrats is they can't tell the truth.
Right.
And so it's part of who they are.
Yeah.
And so, look, it's hard to watch these people because they're so completely out of it. It's amazing to me how that Kamala thinks she's got a campaign going. That one after the other of lies and reading from teleprompters, and there's no campaign here.
Yeah. And it was fun watching Obama do the teleprompter thing, but Obama had something that these Democrats don't have, and it's something Trump has as well. It's sort of an, I hate to put it this way on the lowest level, but it's an it factor.
It's charisma. He had a charisma. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. He had a certain appeal.
Right. Where on the Democrat bench do they have somebody with such charisma that they can line up for 2028?
Nobody. They don't have anybody right now because they're completely. They've gone off the deep end, and they're all their policies will only destroy America, which is what their intention is.
And what's worse is Barack Obama came out and tried to challenge black men's masculinity, telling them, asking them why they're abandoning the Democrat Party because and again. That's the strategy they are. It's vote for me so you can kill babies or else you're not a man.
Yeah, well, you're a man. They're also for homosexuality. I guess that makes them real men.
I guess. Well, I guess the one guy said he wasn't afraid of bears, so the commercial. So
let's do Israel now. That the United States said yesterday we're going to send troops to Israel, along with this advanced anti-missile system. And again, I think the Biden administration is forced to defend Israel, which it does not really want to do. It has not done with any great enthusiasm. But the fact is, with this most recent attack from Iran, sending drones and other weapons into Israel, which did not do much damage given the defense system that Israel has, I think they're preparing for a more advanced war, which is coming. Israel right now is doing a massive sweep through Gaza. They're really cleaning out Gaza. And they'll be doing that they'll probably do that for another year. Probably going to destroy the tunnels. They're not going to let go of Gaza until it's completely gone of Hamas. If that means depopulating Gaza, that's what I think Israel's going to do. Israel's also advancing an offensive into Lebanon. And over the weekend, there was a massive cyber attack on Iran, both on its nuclear facilities and its government facilities. So Israel's at war in a major way right now. And this is not going to ease up. It's not going to stop. Israel, I think, is facing an existential crisis. In other words, they feel like their very survival is at stake. And so Israel is going to now do everything necessary to protect Israel. Okay, if we continue along with the, let's just also do what's going on in Ukraine. Ukraine is now saying that it needs to have more weaponry, more support. The country's defense partners have to ramp up. Why? Because North Korea has now transferred people and weapons to fight with the Russians in Ukraine. Well, Zelenskyy is wanting to expand this war, and I think the world is sick of this war and sick of Zelenskyy. I mean, how much cocaine can the man do? They've got so much money, I'm sure that they're just rolling in cocaine in Zelensky's office. That's the reports I'm getting. And so therefore, these people are corrupt. They're taking the money. billions of dollars get over to Ukraine. It's unaccounted for. Where is it going to go? We don't know. Of course, the federal government is spending money right now. The Pentagon can't account for $1 trillion. So you just have a situation in which the money's out of control and it's not being watched or monitored or audited. And the Democrats don't care. They just keep spending. So therefore, when you look at what the Democrats have done, if you want more years of Kamala, you're going to have virtually every U.S. city is going to become unlivable. You're going to have so many immigrants in it. You're going to have so much out of control violence that the cities will be just unsafe. And that'll mean businesses close, businesses move out of the cities. You're not going to be able to attract employees to come into central business districts if they can't take the subways safely in New York City. So, again, you're finding this complete breakdown of institutions. And that's what the Democrats want. It's this march towards this new world order. In other words, the Democrats, show Chris the book I wrote on the neo-Marxism, cultural Maoism, and anarchy. That book shows that the evolution of Marxism into neo-Marxism, which was a shift once it was clear that Marx was wrong, the workers of the world did not rise up against capitalism. It shifted into an attack on culture, and it shifted into essentially a sexual revolution to destroy the work ethic, break up families, destroy belief in God. Cultural Maoism was a movement like the Great Revolution in China where, people got the little red books and they all marched around and they destroyed the intelligentsia or any of the traditional forms of the country. And what it results in is anarchy. And we're entering that stage right now of anarchy, where our cities are in disarray, nothing functions, the economy isn't working. We're seeing a dystopian future, which is what this Communist Party of the Democrats create. They can only destroy, they can't create. That's that point of the book, is that this is a destructive process, this whole woke. And so this woke insanity is really a transitionary ideology to set up to destroy traditional values, destroy capitalism, and set up for the New World Order elite transhumanists to take over. These transhumanists, I guarantee you, have nothing to do and don't want the woke. The first that will go with the transhumanists, Bill Gates and the like, take over is they'll get rid of the woke because they won't want any more disruption. Okay, if we take a look at some of the other stories, and I'm increasingly concerned about the economy, which I think is going to tank as soon as the election's held. We see today gold is at $2,654 an ounce, and silver's at $31 an ounce, $31.23. We've got to take a look at what we have on Swiss America. You've got to get into gold and silver to some extent. We've done this when we were first talking about it, which was going back to the beginning of the year when gold was trading in $1,900. You would have had a virtually $700 an ounce gain buying an ounce of gold. And even if you can't buy a full ounce of gold, you can get some gold, or you can take your IRAs, your 401ks, and make sure you've got a self-directed IRA that you can invest some or all in the gold and silver. The stock market today is at $42,000. Dow Jones at 32,000 points. And that's just not, it went from 31,000 to 32,000 like in a heartbeat so quickly. And the point is, it's not going to last. They continue to pump liquidity into the market, dollars coming out of that we don't have. We're doing deficit spending at a mad, insane rate. And if you look at the Swiss America site, there are many reports you can get. You can get not only the investing in the IRAs, but you can get reports on the coming war on cash, the timeless truth about gold and silver. You can find reports on the fact that this government secret war against the dollar. That's an important one. And, if you take a look at these reports, you can basically fill out the forms on the website and get these reports. Also, the Walking Liberty $50 offer, which is still there. You get up to 250 of these coins at basically what they're worth in terms of the metal. Take a look at our website. As Chris is showing you, I'm offering a number of my books for sale. If you want to support the program, I'll buy some of the books because I'm going to liquidate in the coming year my inventory of authors' copies of books. And when they're gone, that'll be the only ones I have. They'll be gone. And I'm signing them and sending them to you at reasonable prices. With prices on these on the website include handling and shipping. To describe each of the books and show you what they're about. Okay, as we continue through the news here, I'm finding that every place we look, there's nothing but insanity. So the liberals are now losing their minds over Elon Musk. And again, they're saying that anybody who opposes them, the left goes insane about. Okay, so now Musk's SpaceX, which is becoming part of the national security programs, launching this rescue mission for the 2 astronauts stranded in space. Well, the left is against all this. Anything Elon Musk does now, the left is in opposition to. They want to block him from being able to be part of the national security. Well, SpaceX is now valued at $200 billion. They just signed a new $1 billion contract with NASA. Okay, but yet the left doesn't want to have the SpaceX participate in national security. Of course, we have to do that because we're outsourcing everything in the government. The government basically doesn't work. We got so many bureaucrats. All they do is make regulations that make earning a living impossible. Okay, now when we find, if I go through, the other thing that hit me this over the weekend was that even Saturday Night Live is now mocking Kamala and Biden. I watched some of these skits on X, and if Saturday Night Live is turning against Kamala, her election is failing. I mean, this is to me a sign that Kamala polls are completely exaggerated and that they're going to lose. I think the Democrats are going to lose this election only because people are going to come out in massive numbers. That we're finding algorithms on the database, and there's cheating being planned by the Democrats with mail-in ballots, which is what seems to be apparently the case. The antidote is to vote in so many massive numbers that the Democrats can't cheat. It takes too much to be too obvious for them to create the number of mail-in ballots they would need to overcome a huge vote for Trump. And the idea that Kamala is going to get a surge at the end, which is what they like to do in these mail-in ballot theft schemes, is just not credible. Because, again, Kamala is not gaining. She just can't get people to a rally. They aren't getting massive support. Every time she's out there, she makes a fool of herself. There's giggling and cackling inappropriately, which Saturday Night Live also mocked. She's the worst possible candidate the Democrats could have. And no one wanted her to begin with. She was a default candidate only because Obama had insisted that she be vice president. She's a Maoist. Trevor Loudon has proved that for years. She is raised a Maoist. And the way they portrayed her on Saturday Night Live was really quite good. But again, it made a fool of her. And Biden walking on stage and sniffing her hair. I mean, they did the whole routine. And again, I think you're finding that the Democrats cannot maintain her as a credible candidate because she's just not a credible candidate. Okay, so other issues that are coming up, I think we're finding increasingly that there's concern about another disease being released. We'll be releasing another book on that very quickly. I've become an acquiring editor for Post Hill Press, and I'm able to acquire books, look for books that should be published, and get them into print. Okay, so if we and today is kind of like a no news day because it's just starting the weekend. Everybody's coming off the weekend. I'm finding there's a great news fatigue these days. The people are just so tired of all the bad news that they are in a way that they're just not absorbing the news as well as they should. And if you go through the um, basic headlines. So the Israeli tanks are rolling into southern Lebanon. Okay, after Trump issued a warning about World War III, the U.S. data shows that COVID vax kids are having health problems. The Border Patrol is saying that if we allow Border Czar Harris to win, every city in the United States is going to go to hell. Dementia Joe is saying that he knows how hurricane victims feel because lightning once struck his home. I mean, it's just a mess out there. And Alex Jones turns out to be right about chemicals turning frogs gay. Of course, Alex Jones is being shut down by the Sandy Hook group that sued him. So the chaos we have going at this moment is, I think, the story of the world. The world is in a situation of upheaval, one in which we're facing war, we're facing economic, disaster. Although everything looks good, fine. Things look normal. Got the baseball playoffs going on. We've got plenty of football all day Sunday. Everything looks normal. But below the surface, it's chaos. Below the surface, it's the Satanists are gaining power. The Democrats seem to be now have gone beyond communism to outright hate the United States. And this is not going to last for long in a stable situation because it inherently is heading towards chaos. Chris, any comments before we wrap up?
Well, you're right. This is pretty chaotic here. It's funny. You said a while back the October surprise would be a war and cancellation of the election, which isn't inconceivable. Having said that, though, um, sending troops to Israel, that's a slight escalation, if you will, on our end. We don't know what the heck they're going to try to pull in Ukraine. Something is going to break at this point. Um, they're leaving a huge mess for the next administration to come in, and we're pretty sure it's going to be Donald Trump, and I'm pretty sure the Democrats know that as well. So what they have is a terrible border. They have chaos around the world. They have an economy that's been band-aided and is going to crash pretty soon. They postponed a major strike that would destroy the supply chain until January, interestingly enough, as you know. So it's basically, from where I'm sitting, it looks like there is almost an engineered chaos to make the next 4 years look so horrible, or the next 2 years look so horrible. It's a sort of a plan that's for the Democrats to try to take Congress back in 2026 and maybe bring a Gavin Newsom in to sucker people into voting for him and them and their agenda in 2028.
Well, I think the Democrats are going to finally decide that they're not going to be able to win with Kamala, and they're going to go after trying to control the House and the Senate.
Right.
Or they may try, I mean, we could easily have an escalation of one of these wars to the point where they say we're going to cancel the election because of a national security emergency.
Huh.
So, but I think that option now is less likely because I don't think the Democrats feel like they can credibly pull the election win off. Yeah, this is just, they're doing so poorly. This is the worst two candidates I've ever seen in my lifetime.
I submit at this point they don't want to. Again, I'm under the impression they're throwing the election this year. At this point, they gave it a whirl. They figured, all right, well, we'll say that vote for her because she's a woman. Maybe that works. It worked so well in 2016, but it's not working. She's embarrassing herself and the country with everything every time she appears on camera. And now the Democrats are saying, all right, fine. We'll let them win this one. This way, nobody will think we're actually cheating. And then in 2026 and 2028, we'll pounce.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch. And, as far as I can see, this election is going to grind on. And it's interesting. It's been one of the shortest election periods we've ever had because of different factors. But, you know, the conventions were a nothing. And the Kamala Harris convention was no big deal. There was nothing. There were just shows. There was nothing really going on in the conventions. And then we went right past that. We didn't get into electioning until the last really 2 months. And this whole thing is, I think now, the quicker it's over, the better. We have 3 or 4 more weeks to go here. 3 more weeks, probably 3 full weeks. But these 3 full weeks are going to be a lot of events going on, a lot of changes happening. Could be some surprises. But I think we are now getting into a election mode where Kamala and Waltz are just making fools of themselves, and they're not running a campaign which was a serious campaign. Certainly not one that's serious by traditional standards.
Again, they're trying to use the lowest common denominator superficial approach. But I do believe the only 2 people that think Kamala Harris are going to win are Harris and Walz, basically. I don't think the media believes this. I'm not sure if they even want this to happen as well. There are a lot of people who know if Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are allowed to be in charge of this nation, that could set their party and their agenda back at least 15 years.
It could destroy the Democratic Party
and the nation. Some like the idea of destroying the nation. You look at the World Economic Forum and the types like that. The plan is to kneecap the first world countries to form some sort of equity. Then they can take control. So they like the idea that the U.S., Canada, and Britain are under weak leadership. France, a lot of places like that.
The whole world is really under weak leadership right now. And you've got all kinds of uncertainty, gender uncertainty. I mean, we have fundamental gender uncertainty. This world is a mess. Yeah. We can't even tell the difference between men and women. I mean, that's the other thing about the masculinity commercials for Kamala. I thought we weren't supposed to have duality of gender. You know, I thought there was supposed to be this blend of gender and sex is not the same thing. So suddenly they're on the masculinity theme.
It only happens when it's convenient, you see.
YMCA, right?
Well, I don't think they allow that anymore because there's the word men's in it. That's another story for another day.
All right, let's wrap up.
Christian.
It's Dr. Jerome Corsi. We're doing podcasts on thetruthcentral.com every weekday. In the end, God's going to win here. I mean, I know it looks chaotic. I know it looks like it's grim, but God is going to win. And in the final analysis, what we can see here is that we should get down on our knees and in the spirit of 2 Chronicles 7:14, ask God to forgive us. We've sure let this place get to be a mess. All the babies butchered over abortion. Woman's right to choose means kill babies. All the changes in language. The confusion is massive right now. And it's an era of disinformation. This disinformation is generated largely by the government. Our institutions have failed us and are crumbling. It's a transitional period of time. There's no doubt about that. I just pray we'll have a transition to the light, not to the darkness. It's Dr. Jerome Corsi. Thank you for joining us. It's Monday, October 14th, 2024. We'll be back tomorrow. God bless.